Alright, hell yeah. I'm going to try to make as many of these videos as possible, but I'm going to label that spin a front side shove it. And so that's kind of what we're going to be looking at and analyzing. And so let's kind of watch it all the way through. We're going to be on the right side of the boat, we're going to spin, and then we're going to be on the left side of the boat up against the pile. And so hell yeah, that's what we're going to finish. So let's see if you can kind of see that. Now I'm on the right side of the boat. That's going to be far away from the pile. I'm going to spin up against the shoulder. When I do spin, I want to get back over to the pile. That always seals the deal. And so hell yeah, being on that right side, that's going to drive me across over into that corner, and then we're going to spin off the pile. And so I definitely I'm trying to get better at showing you like all the clips of this, so you can actually see and get an intuitive sense of what this move is. So again, I'm going to be on the right side. That's the higher side. I'm going to drive across, drive into that corner. That's going to bite. Now when we do this spin, it's a fairly vertical spin, and so that's also useful. So drive over on that high side, kind of vertical spin, kind of build up that momentum. The bow really swings. So you can notice that we've talked about that with a vertical punch in, especially if we're on the shoulder pile transition. So because the boat wants to get wedged up against the pile. And so in this clip, we go all the way over there. And okay, hell yeah. So now I'm going to start breaking it down. Now what I typically call a shove it is going to be on the left side. Where I'm on the left side, this is the low side tube, and if I'm weighting this left side, that's going to really drive in. Now for this one, I'm on the right side, and so I'm not on the low side tube. Foot position, my right foot is forward. My toes are facing the camera towards you. My left foot is back in a skateboard stance. My toes are facing towards you. The boat starts to rotate this direction. Look at that. My back is towards you, and so that is going to be a backs. Damn it, I kind of messed that up. Nope. If I was traveling forward in this position, so let's go back, because I really want to work in the skateboarding terminology. And both my feet are kind of up forward, but just imagine my left foot is forward, my right foot's back. I'm facing you as a skateboarder. I'm going this direction. If I oh yeah, do I have this mixed up? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I thought this was going to be a front side shove it because my back foot is shoving the board out in front of me. Yeah, so that makes sense. If I'm facing you, it doesn't look like it, but my toes are facing you. And if I did a 90-degree rotation, then towards this direction, my toes would be faced in the direction I'm going forward. So that's a front side shove it. Or that's a front side rotation if my body does that. If the board does it, it's a front side rotation. The other way to look at it is this back foot. The toes are faced towards you, the camera, and I'm going to shove the back of the boat in that direction. And so that would be the shove it. Now, what I want to call a shove it is where my body doesn't rotate. And this one we did. So that's a great shove it. I always face down the trough and I'm scooting back for the high side. So when this does bite, I'm jumping back for the high side. Now in this one I do switch positions. Nope, I'm always on the same side. Sorry about that. So I'm on the right side, and when the boat starts to rotate, I high side up onto this right side. I should have been high siding a little bit more, but on this wave, sometimes a little bit lower towards the center hooks that in, but then I'm right back to there. So hell yeah. So this would be my body doesn't do any varial. My body doesn't spin one way or another, and so that's why I'm going to call this the shove it. And this is the front side shove it because we went over that whole dynamic of the back of the boat rotating front side. Hell yeah. And this one, though, does require, so that's the thing that's different about skateboarding is in skateboarding, let's say my right foot is forward, my left foot's back, my toes are pointed towards you, the camera, I'm facing you, the camera, and we're like rolling this direction. On a skateboard or in this raft, I can either be that same position on that far side, or I could sit here almost in the same position. So I can move around the boat. I can be centered. I can be on that far right side. So that is, and then once we do this spin, and I keep my body, towards the trough, and we spin around, I guess this is the high-sided tube that comes around, so it is the more natural way to sit. So yeah, so that all works out. So this is the front side shove it, high siding, keep my body towards the trough, and I'm always going to be on that pile side. Now, if I was doing just a backside shove it, or over here, I'm going to be facing that direction. My left foot's forward, my right foot's back, my toes are facing towards these rocks over here. My natural position to look is across the boat, and if I rotate the same direction, then I'm rotating my back towards the direction I'm rolling, if I'm rolling upstream. So that would be a backside shove it. And that is typically going to be the easier one, because this tube, we said, is the low side tube. It's going to really drive in and bite. But when it does bite, if I was on this tube, I would need to instantly give up on this tube and then jump back to the seated position that I am right here. And then in that backside shove it, I still don't do a body varial. I still just like sit back up onto this high-sided tube facing the trough, maybe hold on to the perimeter line, and I'm still, as that comes around, still on that tube. Now, and if it was the backside shove it, the one that I just explained, my paddle would be on the right side, and I would end the trick. I mean, my paddle would be on the left side of the boat. I would be sitting on the left side of the boat, and I would end the trick on the left side of the boat. So I wouldn't have to switch hands with my paddle. So in this clip, I have to switch hands. My paddle's on the right side. As I do this, now my paddle's on the left side. So hell yeah. And I'm just trying to bring terminology to it, honestly, just for me. But I think it's kind of cool to, because I honestly don't think anyone knows what the hell's going on in an R1 boat when spinning, just because most of the R1ers aren't kayakers, and they're not being like, oh, I can do all these tricks in a kayak, so we're going to take it to the R1. And I'm not a freestyle kayaker, or even a kayaker in general, so even the basics, basic terminology, I might be huge gaps. All right, hell yeah. But I do... but in essence, this is it's doing a spin on the shoulder. So let's just kind of finish it with kind of looking at what this spin is. It's driving across the pile, doing a vertical spin on the shoulder. I'm going to label a vertical spin as where you kind of put in the boat vertical. You're not putting in the boat across the pile. You're just putting it in, building it up. You do have to pry or know that the boat is going to turn. And then hell yeah. And in this case, because we are on the shoulder, we're going to get pinched up against the pile. So you do get this, as this gets swept out on the shoulder, this gets stopped and wedged, kind of viced up against that pile. And so that really helps that rotation. So that rotation is actually one of the more solid ones. And I would say that any vertical spin, and when you do vertical spins, they usually are on the pile shoulder interface, because that is a natural, like one thing stops you, the other thing drives downstream with the shoulder current that goes downstream. And just putting it in vertical, all that builds up a lot of spin momentum in place, where a lot of the spins that get you kicked out are the ones that travel across, and then you're getting a lot of downstream momentum, where this just kind of totally locks in on that spin. All right, hell yeah. So this is the front side shove it, and we could have done different things. We could, when we throw in this pry, we could just go backwards, into the pile. And that is also something that I actually want to do, a little variation of, because that's why I'm making these videos. It's like, what's the variation? Is like go in for what I'm going to call a front side shove it, But do a body varial, or I mean at that point it's just a backside turn, because my toes would be facing this direction. This is my rolling, and I'm going to do a spin this way. My back is going to be to the direction that I'm spinning. So if I do spin this way, hey, look at this, my back is towards the direction that I'm rolling. So, and if I still maintain facing the bow, so just pretend that I'm on this tube. This tube is going to drive in. And, you know, this tube, because it's over on the shoulder, but like right here, now I'm over the pile, but I do want to say pretend like I'm still over on that far side, because there's an opportunity to do this spin, because it's a vertical spin and it kind of does itself in place. There's an opportunity to really do this spin just right in place where I don't travel over here onto the pile, especially if I was more loading that side. And potentially if I was not doing the shove it part, not trying to keep my body stationary and not doing a varial with my body. But it's not a varial. I don't think you'd call it a varial with your body if the boat is doing the same rotation. Then it's just a backside. This would be considered a, damn it. I guess in this position, so sorry about that. In this position, we were saying that my right foot is forward, my left foot's back, my toes are facing you, so I would be facing the camera. And if my toes are facing the camera, as I rotate this way, my toes are now facing upstream. So yeah, this whole rotation's been front side anyway. So hell yeah. So this would be a front side 180. So cool. So let's say I do a front side 180 from the vertical position, because we are on the pile, you know, shoulder interface. There's a chance that I can bring this around just way faster and snappier with this stroke right here being the pry, and then just staying on that tube and letting that tube be the driving tube. That could have an opportunity to, like right now we should be all the way around. And then what I want to do is throw in the paddle at the bow and then stop that rotation. Right now we actually just stopped that rotation just because we didn't spin all the way. But there's a chance that I could spin this much quicker. So spin it quicker, get it all the way around, maintain a backward position, but then throw the paddle in forward at the bow. I'm still backwards, but then that can lock in. And then what I want to do is then ride the pile in a backwards position all the way around. And if I do that, then I can set up, if I ride this pile in a backwards position, then once I do that 180, then I'm in a forward position, and I'm on the right side, the side of the pile that locks me in. So again, let's talk through this. We're going to do a vertical spin, heavy on the pry. I'm going to be on this tube, spin way more than this footage shows. I'm going to be going backwards. I'm going to drive that backwards momentum. I'm going to stop the rotation with a pry off the bow, and then maybe take a backstroke and heavily lean across this pile and do a backwards pile spin. And if I'm on this tube, I'm going to go around the pile, and then I'd be on, the boat's going to be over here, but I would be on this tube, which would be now the left tube, and I would be on next to the pile right there. So hell yeah. So that's just one variation, and it's kind of good for me to talk my way through some of that stuff, so if I go out to the wave, I can be like, hell yeah, let's do that. But right now I'm just kind of in constant brainstorming of just trying to put terminology to these moves so they're distinctive. So when I go out there, I can be like, oh hell yeah, that's a front side turn, because that's what we were saying here. This is as is. Well, this was a front side shove it because we don't let ourselves turn with the boat, but we could do a front side 180 and then into a backwards move, you know, a backwards combo. Now the other thing that I was doing in a vertical turn, I could, like right now, also just turn my body like in the vertical position. There's one, well, just in general, like when I lay this in, I know like I don't even pry. Look at this. I don't even pry in the boat's turning like real aggressively. And so that's the setup right there. And especially with the vertical, I've never done this yet on a vertical one. But we've been working on, like right here, just rotate my body around. you know, whatever direction feels comfortable. Usually I'm rotating opposite of the boat spinning. But if and then my paddle comes all the way around in a like 3/4 of a turn instead of just rotating out. But cool. So let's say I just rotate my body so I'm facing downstream, and then this thing's doing what it's doing. Cool. Now I'm just doing a 180, and now I'm already forward. So I don't even have to shift. So what I would call that is an early spin. When you... And I think it's so foundational to R1. I kind of made like that comment. It's like, hey, this is pretty foundational. Because if you do an early varial of your body, then I'm just facing forward and I'm on the right tube and I'm up against the pile. So especially, you know, doing this, like driving out to this shoulder and then doing a shoulder turn, like, and then do an early rotation, hell yeah, now I'm already locked in. So that would be probably the better thing to do. And so there's a couple things that I've been thinking about going forward. One is figuring out more of this early turns. And then let's say I was backward, to be able to drive a turn backwards. And the easiest way to drive a turn backwards is just to drive around the pile and then be forwards. And so, because essentially let's get back to that. So if I'm over here and I do an early body varial and I'm just sitting backwards, well, technically I'm actually doing the trick switch. And so, but I'm just calling it an early turn because I'm just turning just before spinning. It doesn't feel like I'm actually taking a paddle stroke or prying in or doing anything switch, like going backwards into this turn. But essentially, all it is setting it up, and then the second I know the trick is set up and I know it's going to spin, then I'm just rotating my body. And I can rotate either direction. So that would be a body varial prior to the boat spin. And then it's just a varial. And then if I did rotate my body, then my left foot would be forward. I would be backwards. My left foot would be forward. My toes would be facing you. And then I would be, I don't know when you do a trick switch. I still think you say this is the direction. I have no idea. I'll have to get more solid on my skateboard terminology. But who cares? My toes would be facing you, yeah. But at a certain point, I need to dial in those rotations when it comes to skateboard terminology. But in this seated position, it's really difficult to even see what direction my toes would be facing anyway. All right, I'm done with this. Thanks for joining me. Let's watch it one more time. All right, hell yeah, frontside shove it. Booyah.